but that all the money will be going to Polio Plus and the Sukup Safety Home. So it's all for charity. So that's going to be the ways we're going at trying to raise some money. So, like I said, I hope I'm not being too optimistic, but I hope to see some of you there in person. Weekend COVID capacity is 140 in the room. And like I said, we'll be also doing hybrids. So at this point, well, hopefully the vaccinations process goes a lot faster and everybody's more comfortable about getting there by April 24th. So time will tell. So anyway, thank you for a couple minutes there. And I appreciate everything you do for your community and for Rotary. So.
Thank you for joining our meeting, Steve. Okay, Vic Hellberg is going to recognize those with perfect attendance. Is Vic on yet? There he is.
Can you hear
Vic,
me now?
if you'll unmute yourself.
Yep, I
now
did.
We can.
Oh, I'm sorry. Our second quarter attendance, we had 11 members who got perfect attendance. They are Amanda Acola, Rick Anderson, Dennis Drager, Mary Giese, Linda Havelka, myself, Carol Hibbs, Kim Jazz Ramirez, Bonnie Lowry, Tom McCoy, and Robert Moore. And last month, or last quarter, we had Lily Mae Candy for each person that was successful with the 100%. And this quarter, we want to call attention to our Wayward Social Makeup meeting that we have on Friday afternoons. So I'm going to be there Friday, this coming Friday at 5:10, and everybody who has perfect attendance this past quarter, I'm buying them a drink. So please show up.
Thank you, Vic. That's motivating to me. So it would be great to have a chance to see each other. And let's do.
I'll see you there, Mary.
Great. Let's give those people that were recognized a round of applause, please. We'll look forward to Friday. Jackie Wyatt, are there announcements regarding student Rotarians?
We do not have any new student Rotarians present today. Thanks to Kyra for faithfully attending each month, even though it's finals week today.
Wow. Okay, great. In the way of announcements, I believe that there were 38 members who attended by Zoom last week. So it's great. We hope to beat that record today. Rotary News and Information. You might remember that this is a segment that we've added where we ask a member to highlight an article from the Rotarian or the district newsletter or the district website. And Mike Schlesinger has agreed to do that this week. So Mike.
Thank you, Mary. The article that I chose to highlight, the one that caught my attention, was the article on how to organize a successful food drive. And that was in last month's issue. And the thing that actually caught my attention was they said that there was a 130% increase in the need for food pantries around the country. And I got to thinking, I wonder what that is here in Marshalltown. So I visited with the local food box, and sure enough, we're pretty much in the same boat here. And so I started looking at this article, and I noticed that they talked about certain things that most food boxes are in need of. And they had a list of different things in there, from peanut butter to pasta to several of the canned goods and things like that you'd normally think of. And so I asked our local food box if those were indeed the things that they were short on, and sure enough, they were. So I took this a little further than just reporting on what I saw in the magazine, and decided that I'd ask Mary to see if this was possible for our club to do something about this. And so what we did is we contacted Hy-Vee, and Hy-Vee has agreed to help us set this up where we can go ahead and purchase $20 bags, and they're giving us a real good deal on that. They'll fill these up with these items that they need, and then we'll deliver these right before Valentine's Day. So between now and February 8th, we're going to be taking orders, how many ever bags Rotarians would like to purchase for that $20. And we're going to send an email out. All you'll have to do is send me the email with your name and how many bags you would like to purchase. Kim will bill you on your next billing for the number of bags that you want. And we will go ahead and get those bags delivered to the local food box. So something that came out of the Rotary magazine for international can work for us right here in Marshalltown. There will be an email coming out that outlines this whole plan. But if anybody has any questions, I'd be happy to try and answer that now.
Well, I would like to say a special thank you to Mike for taking the next step, not only just finding an interesting article, but for taking the next step into action. It's another example of us as people of action and being able to make a difference here. So appreciate your leadership on that, Mike, and I hope all of us will support him. It should be easy to just let him know how many bags, and then Kim will let us know where to write the check. So, and if you need help delivering or anything else, Mike, let us know, and we'll be happy to, everybody will be happy to pitch in.
Thanks.
So thanks again. Okay, I think we're down to happy news on our agenda, so we can use some.
I forgot one thing. My wife and I in July are going to have our first grandchild. So
that is indeed happy news. When will that happen? How soon?
July, in July.
July.
Yep. So we're excited.
Great.
This is Ben. Happy to tell you that we are going out to Virginia to babysit for our grandchild while they are in the process of a move. And I'm doubly happy because they are moving out of the heart of Washington, D.C. out into a suburb in Virginia. Where they currently live is about a mile from the Capitol, which was always fun when we were there to be able to walk to Capitol Hill. But I'm kind of glad they're moving out, and I'm really anxious to babysit with Scarlett, baby Scarlett.
Wow.
Carrying on the grandchild theme, my oldest daughter, Marie, who lives in the Quad Cities, has gifted us with 3 grandsons. And my youngest daughter, Maggie, who lives in Memphis, just announced with the new year that they're expecting their first child. I'm the only one in the family to predict a female, and I was right on all 3 boys that are pictured behind me. So we're super excited. It's been, they've had a little bit more challenging go with having a child, so we're super excited for them. And Steve Dakin will be glad to know that both girls are Toradors. They're graduates of 2002 and 2009.
Any more happy news out there? I'm happy to share that my mother will be 100 years old on Monday. She's still living in independent senior living. And I think we're going to go up and at least tell her happy birthday with our masks on. So I haven't seen her for a year. It's been really tough to be in isolation for her. So I'm so happy that she's made this mark. She was aiming to be 100, so she's excited about it, and we are too. Okay, I think that brings us down to the news from Todd Steinkamp.
All right, thank you, Mary. Let me pull it up here. From the COVID front, 800 new 5 cases were reported since midday yesterday across the state. Story County showed a double-digit increase with 13. Marshall and Tama counties each added 8 new cases. The Internal Revenue Service now has its free file option open for filing your taxes. IRS spokesperson Christopher Miller says filing is especially important for anyone who didn't get their first or second economic impact payment. He says they will need to file a tax return for 2020. Miller says interest on the free filing option has increased in our state. Last year in Iowa, nearly 35,000 people used free file, which is 47% increase on the year before. There are some income limits on the free file option. Generally, people can use the IRS free file program if they make $72,000 or less. The IRS tax filing deadline was moved back last year because of the pandemic, but it is moving back to the normal April 15th deadline this year. There is some good news for Iowa farmers. The price of corn has hit a 7-year high, around $5 a bushel, and right now beans are around $11 per bushel. The big question is, will these high prices last? 2 of the biggest jackpots in the U.S. lottery history have grown even larger. Mega Millions has a projected $850 million jackpot. That's the 3rd largest in lottery history and the game's 2nd largest ever. That comes tonight. A projected $730 million will be up for grabs with the next Powerball drawing, the 4th largest jackpot in the game's history and the 6th largest in U.S. history. It's been nearly 2 years since a lottery jackpot has grown so large. No one has won either game's prize since September. Finally, in honor of the inauguration tomorrow, some nonpartisan presidential jokes. So everybody calm down. Where did George Washington have trouble, why did George Washington have trouble sleeping? Because he couldn't lie. What's the difference between a duck and George Washington? One has a bill on his face, the other has his face on a bill. And finally, what's the difference between a politician and a snail? One is a slimy pest who leaves a trail everywhere, and the other is a snail.
Thank you, Todd. Those groaners are my kind of humor. Thank you very much. Today's program will be introduced by Deirdre Grindler.
Hello all, thank you, Mary. I'm pleased to introduce Julie Hitchens to you. I think most all of us know Julie. So I asked her what she wanted me to share about her, and she suggested that she has a master's degree in accounting from Iowa. She and her husband, Kevin, have lived in Marshalltown for almost 30 years. Julie spent 30 years in the corporate accounting world, including working most recently at Emerson. Most importantly, Julie loves this community. Today, she is executive director for the Community Foundation of Marshall County. At the start of her 3rd year, we are truly fortunate to have her in this role. Future generations of Marshall County will be impacted by the positive work she does today. Julie is going to update us all on what is happening at the Community Foundation and answer questions you have about the role of the foundation. Best of all, she promised to end her presentation today by leading a rousing chorus of the Iowa fight song. All right, Julie, over to you.
Yeah, no, maybe I won't do the fight song, but I could. Sharing my screen, hopefully you can see it. Can somebody give me a thumbs up?
We
Not
can't.
yet.
Okay, great.
Nope, can't see it.
You can't see it?
I cannot. I don't know if anybody else can.
No, we can't see it yet.
Not yet.
It's starting to come now.
Yay.
Yep.
Got it.
Okay, whoops. So thank you for having me here. I'm going to try to be brief. I'm going to go really fast because I got a lot to cover today. And I can always come back and share more. I've always got stuff to talk about the foundation, and thank you for letting me be part of Rotary. I'm excited to be part of this group. Actually my first service organization in 30 years. So new experience. Starting with what is a community foundation? Here's the official definition that I'm sure I stole somewhere on the internet. We are a nonprofit. We do have donors. We have charitable interests. Most importantly, we're a defined geographic area. Our geographic area is Marshall County. We serve all of Marshall County, every little fit of Marshall County and try to make sure we include all of Marshall County. You'll notice that there are 99 community foundations in Iowa. There's one in each county, and you'll see why, because they get grant dollars. To compare us to Deirdre, thanks for the great introduction, Unity Point Foundation, often foundations are for a specific cause or organization. Deirdre supports Unity Point Healthcare Services. Community foundations are very different. We're very neutral. All we want to do is make Marshall County a better place to live, learn, work, and play. So we don't have a specific cause or organization. We're kind of a neutral party in the foundation world. The next slide I want to share, I want to talk about the Community Foundation of Greater Des Moines. This is not always an understood relationship. If there's one thing I want you to take away today, it is a good relationship. And Marshall County is a better place because our affiliation with the Community Foundation of Greater Des Moines. In order to receive grant dollars from the state and endow Iowa tax credits, we have to be accredited and meet national standards. A one-person little show in Marshall County can't do that on her own. Most community foundations in Iowa are affiliated with a host. We are lucky to be affiliated with the best host ever, the Community Foundation of Greater Des Moines. What they do for us is a lot of our administration. They take care of our accounting. They take care of all our fund management. They offer our fund holders online access to their funds. You literally can donate from your phone with a fund with us. They take care of all our human resources needs. I'm actually on their payroll and receive their benefits, which is important to us as a couple. They do all our HR. And most importantly, they provide us with a great resource for their expertise. They are the best, not in Iowa, but actually nationally. So that is a great relationship. They actually serve 39 affiliates, and that number is growing actually today. They're getting a couple more counties in southern Iowa to sign on because of their great reputation. This gives me access to 39 different community foundation leaders. So I have peers around the state, and we work very closely together. It's also economies of scale. Rather than me doing a marketing slick on a donor advised fund and Hardin County doing one and Story County doing one, a Community Foundation of Greater Des Moines puts one together that's right and correct and shares it with all 39. So there's economies of scale. They are, as I mentioned, they are the largest host foundation in Iowa. As of November 30th, they administered assets of over $693 million, and they have over 2,100 funds. Pretty amazing, but I feel like I am their only affiliate foundation. I get great service. So that's a little bit about our relationship with the Community Foundation of Greater Des Moines. We do pay them administrative fees, but we definitely get our money's worth. I make sure we do. And I'm glad we have that relationship. So that's a little bit about Des Moines, a little bit about the foundation. I haven't come up with anything very sexy, so I use a four-legged stool. These are the kind of the four areas that I work in every day. I'm going to start with the one, and interesting in the chat, this is what came up the most. It's our grant making. This is what I knew about the foundation before I was director. I'd gone and picked up checks for nonprofit organizations, and I'd actually written a couple grant applications too. By the way, not always successful. We receive gaming money from casinos because we don't have a casino in Marshall County. We get 1/84th of the share. Casinos have to put a certain percentage of their revenue in a pool. It's divided by 84. We typically get between $100,000 and $110,000 a year. Unfortunately, casinos were closed the last quarter of last year. And so we are only getting about $80,000 to distribute. The economic impact on Marshall County has been great. So since inception, they have, through county endowment grants, have funded $1.4 million to 123 different organizations in Marshall County. That's a huge economic impact, and it really helps our nonprofit world. We also do grant making through some of our funds. We have a field of interest fund. Mildred Wise Johnson, when she passed away, she wanted to support domestic violence. There was not an organization at that moment to give those funds to. So the executors started a fund with the Community Foundation. Every year we grant out between $20,000 and $25,000 for domestic violence on her behalf. Also, our disaster recovery funds are committee advised, so people apply with grants to get funding from those. 15% of our county endowment, those gaming dollars, those grant dollars, actually go for student philanthropy. And I noticed Karn talked about student philanthropy. Thanks to the Martha Ellen Ty Foundation, STEP, or the Marshalltown High School Student Philanthropy Program, has been around for over 10 years. Student philanthropy is open to sophomores, juniors, and seniors in high school. They have to fill out an application. We want to make sure that they're really dedicated. With their grant making, they do the whole cycle. They do a needs assessment. They decide what their focus areas are. They develop their own grant application. They market their grants because they need organizations in Marshall County to apply. I will market for them at the moment. These 3 grant applications are available on our website. They get the grant applications, they score them just like our board of directors and committees do. They have to go through that allocation process where the ask is 2 or 3 times what the money they have. And that's really cool to see them say, where will this money do the best work for Marshall County? Where is that dollar going to go the farthest? And then kind of the pinnacle is that grant award ceremony when they get to hand that check over to that organization. And then we follow up and visit those organizations and see how those grant dollars work when there's not COVID. We started student philanthropy in East Marshall and West Marshall last school year. Very successful. Typically the groups have about 15 kids. Our poster child for student philanthropy is Amy Jo Wurtzberger. You know the Wurtzberger name, it's a Marshalltown name. Amy Jo's married to Chris. She's a teacher at West Marshall. Amy Jo also serves on our board, and she is great at our grant making. As we're doing grant applications, we always want to make them better. We actually score grants, procedures regarding grants. Amy Jo was the best. Amy Jo participated in student philanthropy in Southern Iowa. So she came equipped to immediately make an impact on our community. So we do student philanthropy to build the leaders for tomorrow. The kids are learning about nonprofits, needs in our community, philanthropy, advocacy. They also volunteer. Our SEAL group from West Marshall is actually cooking and serving at the House of Compassion tonight. So student philanthropy, I could talk about it for an hour. I love it. It's my favorite leg of the chair. Community leadership is another leg. It's kind of a catch-all. These past couple of years, a big part has been disaster philanthropy. We're kind of known for our disaster philanthropy. I hate to say that. No more disasters, by the way. Rebuild Marshalltown Fund is long-term recovery from the tornado. Have to highlight our latest grant. It was to Region 6. It was the largest grant ever given by this community foundation in the amount of $200,000. It's for matching required for a grant for downtown revitalization. So more to come on that. We started the COVID Marshall County Disaster Recovery Fund in May when we were hearing about needs through kind of a group of funders and nonprofits. That has received over $105,000 donations. There's one big one that I learned of today, but I can't tell you about yet, so stay tuned. Maybe that will be my happy news next week. And then also we had to fire it up for Duratio. So we did relief for Duratio. So a role the community foundation plays in disaster recovery often is being the bank. We are the one-stop shop for those donations to come in. Then we grant the dollars out. So I'm proud about our disaster recovery. We don't need any more, but we've learned a lot, and I anticipate more Duratio grants for recovery next spring as things get fired back up. And rebuild will continue to go. We know that all recovery is long-term recovery. A little bit about endowments. I want to talk about agency funds because you as Rotary have a fund with us. You have an Endow Iowa fund. You can give to that fund today. Very powerful. I'll talk about the Iowa tax credit involved. Also want to talk about donor advised funds. Those are the funds we love as individuals because you control where the money goes. We always want to be in control. We have individuals because of tax laws that are bunching their giving. They're giving 3 or 4 years worth of what they typically donate into their fund, they immediately get that tax deduction, and then they're going to dole it out over the next 2 or 3 or 4 years to causes they care about. Legacy funds, Eddie Thompson really kicked this off well. This is giving after you're gone. It's very, very hard to talk about. There are some really cool legacy funds that have been established that will benefit Marshall County in the future. I want to share a quick story about a couple that I worked with. They said, Julie, every year we give to our church, every year, the same amount of money, no matter what. That is our #1 priority. We want to do it after we're gone. So we figured out how much they had to put in a fund. When they pass away, that fund will be funded, and their church every year forever will get that donation from them. They said, can we be more specific? And I said, yeah, we can customize. We want it to go for building maintenance. We feel like that's something that's often put on the back burner and forgotten. We want our funds to go for building maintenance. So that is all set up to go after they pass. So those are our funds. Why you should go with a community foundation, because you can get a donor advised funds lots of different places. We can offer that Endow Iowa tax credit, and I'm going to talk about that. Definitely we can customize, think of the couple with their church. Because of our relationship with Des Moines, we can take any type of asset. They have taken farm machinery, land, portions of a business sale. Stock is a really, really popular one. Funds going in this year to our funds, contributions in, over 30% were stock. And there's tax reasons for all these. Talk to your tax advisor. I am not one. Because of my community involvement, I can help you find causes you care about. Often I get to hear about projects early in their infancy and help you decide where to give. We can offer grant making expertise. Think of Mildred Wise Johnson. We find the greatest domestic need every year and grant to that. Also, the last part is really interesting. I didn't know it was so popular, but you can give anonymously through the community foundation, through your fund. I have a couple that is very philanthropic and nobody knows it. They give to organizations. I ask that the organization then correspond with me and tell me how their funds were used, and I get back with the donor. So we can be that in-between person if you want to be anonymous. A little bit about permanent endowments. This is like an Endow Iowa fund. When you see that, think Better Forever. This is the fund that's going to give forever. If I established a fund with $10,000, after 15 years, that fund will every year give out 5%. But you'll notice that my balance stays the same. I'm still about at that $10,000 mark, but I've given out almost $7,800. After 25 years, it's given out $13,000. Again, that balance remains the same. So that's that Better Forever. That's that couple that's giving to their church, even though they're no longer here. That church is going to get that 5% every year. A little bit about the Endow Iowa tax credit. There's really 2 ways you could get it. You could give to an already established fund, like your Rotary fund, or you could start a donor advised fund or a fund designated for a nonprofit that's Endow Iowa. Requirements, we have to be a qualified community foundation. Again, that relationship with Des Moines allows us to do that. You have to support Iowa causes because you're going to get Iowa tax credits. They were smart and they said that money needs to stay in Iowa and you can only give out 5%. So that's the Better Forever. That fund is going to give forever and ever and ever. In return for that, you get a 25% Iowa tax credit. In my very simple words, that's a gift card to pay your state tax. That gift card has a 5-year life. And there is also, you have to reduce your federal deduction by your state benefit. So there's a little bit of a give, but the tax credit is pretty powerful. This all sounds really great. We've got one problem. We never get enough tax credits. We have actually already expended all the 2021 tax credits. So if you would give to that Rotary fund today, you'd be in line for 2022 credits. We can't guarantee them yet because the 2022 budget is not done yet. So that's the Endow Iowa tax credit. A little bit about our funds at the Community Foundation. This is as of December 31st with that star because the accountants haven't ticked and tied everything yet. We have 83 funds. They were valued at just about $6.9 million. The graph below really tells how the Community Foundation makes Marshall County a better place to live, learn, work, and play. This is money leaving our funds every year for the last 6 years. The yellow portion of the graph, that's our county endowment. Those are those gaming dollars going to nonprofits in Marshall County. The red is our disaster recovery, so rebuild, and our disaster recovery fund gave out about $299,000. The blue is where my heart is really happy. These are our other funds. Individuals or organizations gave out $579,000 last year. Now that money could go anywhere in some cases, but I can tell you the majority of it stayed right here in Marshall County. So $972,000 were dispersed from our funds last year. Pretty darn powerful. And then I would be remiss, I didn't do this. This was not me. This was Betty Bowler and Dylan Does, the former directors. They really laid the framework for me. I walked into a great situation. They had been cheerleaders on the sidelines all the time and helped me on this new journey, which is totally different than corporate accounting, by the way. And then I have a rock star board of directors. A lot of them are Rotarians. I'm very, very lucky. Also, we've had some great board of directors in the past. When I go through the list, I think, wow, they have made Marshall County a better place to live, learn, work, and play. So thank you to anyone who served on the board. I appreciate it. And I will take any questions if we have time. I tried to rock and roll through this so we get done on time.
It's my understanding that Carrie Barr was pretty instrumental even before it got formally organized as well. And Carrie's a Rotarian, so I'd like to give kudos to her as well.
Yeah, and I'd like to add to that, Sue Martin, as the executive director of the Martha Allen Ty Foundation at the time, was also very instrumental in such. Serving on that board while Betty was the executive director was amazing. I can speak on behalf of a board member that Betty was a rock star. She was part-time, but worked far beyond part-time hours. And then hiring Julie as a full-time executive director has been a tremendous gift to our community. You know, like she said, she walked into this without any experience specifically in this field, and she's absolutely hitting it out of the park. We are so blessed to have them. And, you know, both the history and the current, what's brought us up to today. This is a huge leadership position in our community. Couldn't be prouder of you, Julie.
Thank you, Karen. Thank you, everybody, because you all have been my supporters, every one of you.
Okay, I don't know how to clap. How do you guys do that?
There's a reaction button over on the bottom, and I clicked on that.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah, pretty fun.
And we provide Zoom training too.
So, Mary, I'll just add to Julie's comments and to Karen's comments. I mean, Julie has done just an outstanding job in leadership. And when it was handed off from Betty, I know, and Dylan, it was in a good situation. But what's really interested me the most is how the Community Foundation has stepped up during our disaster work. You know, we, as a small community, have limited resources. And so pooling those resources and figuring out the best way to direct those, the Community Foundation's just been awesome at doing that. So good job, Julie.
Well, and I must add, we're really blessed in that our nonprofits organizations really worked well together. You know, when the derecho hit, if you go behind the curtain, which I get to be, it was almost instant. We knew what role we needed to play. Each of us needed to play. And it was just great collaboration. It continues to be fabulous collaboration, everybody pitching in and really staying in their lane and not making things hard.
But I will request that we not do the Iowa fight song. Okay.
And because Carol is on my board, we aren't going to do the Iowa fight song because, you know, she says if I'm a boy.
I'll second that.
But let's do the Iowa State one, just for fun.
We could unite everybody behind the Wisconsin fight song.
Said no one ever.
Wrong, Carol.
Oh, sorry, Karen.
I'll say I use the Greater Des Moines myself. I'm involved with different groups that use it. And from a tax deduction standpoint, you can give them stock at an inflated price and you get the whole deduction off your Iowa tax and your federal tax. So it's a super way to give money. I really love it. I've been doing it for 10 years now. And it's a great way to give money and it'll be there for years and under your direction. So I really love that program and a big supporter of it. Yeah, unfortunately, we won't know for a little bit about 2022, but they've come through every year. But so many people are given to it, that money's used up pretty quickly off for your Iowa tax deductions. So.
Is that something we need to speak to our legislators in favor of changing?
Absolutely. 2 points. We need to increase the Iowa tax credit, and then we want that sports gaming, the betting on sports, not that any of us do that. We want a portion of that money too. So the gaming money we get now is just from the casinos, and that is going down as sports gaming goes up. So we really would like a little bit of that action too.
Oh, that's a great idea. I hadn't thought about that. That's super. Yeah, in December in Iowa alone, $80 million was sports bet.
Yeah, that portion, the casinos have to put that money in back to the state. It's a very small percentage, but it goes to the general fund. And I really think community foundations probably can spend it better with grant making.
Yeah.
You know, Julie, the other component of the community foundation that I think is really important for people to understand is how easy it is to establish an endowment, your own endowment. And once you've established it, to donate out of that endowment is super easy. You can do it online. And the other component is how well they manage your investments and your dollars. And as it was demonstrated, I mean, the funds that Paul and I hold, we're donating out every year and they're actually growing. So even with the donation out, we have more in our endowments. So very trustworthy, a great place to establish and very easy to access.
They have one of the highest ratings of all the funds in the country. The Greater Des Moines does. Absolutely.
Well, hearing no further questions, I would like to add my thanks to Julie for her very informative presentation. And we'll look forward to more good news from the Marshall County Foundation, Community Foundation. A reminder to everybody to look for and respond to the email from Kim about Mike Schlesinger's project here of getting some food to our local food bank. And we'll look forward to seeing all of you next week. Our own Todd Steinkamp is going to be the speaker, and he's going to tell about his experiences with NASCAR, I believe. So that should be fun. And now I invite you to join me in reciting the four-way test. Of the things we think, say, or do, first, is it the truth? Second, is it fair to all concerned? Third, will it build goodwill and better friendships? And fourth, will it be beneficial to all concerned?
About number 5.
Okay, thank you. So I now declare our meeting adjourned.
Be safe.